guys, what's up? So I wanted to make a video about how I feel like Tumblr brainwashed me. So I'm gonna give some context. In like middle school especially, I was like pretty outspokenly anti-feminist. Like, well, what I would say was that I was an old school feminist. And I would always just like kind of call out bullshit because I really was not a huge fan of girls because I always found them to be kind of bitchy and just, they lied a lot, it seemed like to me. But then in middle school, I was groomed by an older boy who was 18, and he ended up raping me with his friend. And after that, I very much felt like a victim. And I want you guys to keep that in mind, the fact that I really felt like a victim at the time. When I eventually found Tumblr. It was 2 years later that I found Tumblr. And during the time my parents were like fighting a bunch, and there was like talk of a divorce, which did not end up happening. They're like perfectly fine now. But everything was super up in the air at the time. And I really felt like my whole like world had been like shaken. And then when I was 15, you might have seen my other story time, a similar thing happened, not nearly as violent at all. Like, I can make a whole different video about like the different severities of rape, because there are like not all rapes are equal. But anyway, which again just kind of like, I was already in that state, and so it just like kind of shook me even more. And so then I found Tumblr around that time, but I started dating someone new, and now I feel really bad. If he ever sees this, John, I'm very sorry about how much of a cunt I was about your political views, because I should have respected them, and I did not, and I'm sorry. But, so I found Tumblr, and, you know, I went from being pretty skeptical all the time to just being kind of like beaten down a bit, and just wanting to find some comfort and like safety. And Tumblr is definitely a very like safe space. And well, in some ways that was good. In other ways it wasn't. And I don't know, it was, I guess like, I started Tumblr and I joined the fitness community, right? And within that community, there was a lot of like body positivity stuff. And I was like, oh, well, that's really good. That's like helpful, like inspiration and stuff. And so like within that, there's a lot of really strong feminists that would like really preach about feminism a lot. And I was at the point where like my kind of fundamental viewpoints of things had been shaken, because the world did not feel as safe as it once had. And I think I just really fed into the victim mentality that is really alive on Tumblr. And well, like, I don't think that being a victim is a bad thing. Like, sometimes you are a victim, and that's fine. there's a difference between, like, being a victim of something and then continuing to have a victim mindset for every occurrence afterwards, because that's not helpful. And, like, I don't know, so I think that's part of why I just started listening to all of the rhetoric and stuff, and I stopped kind of trying to question it after a while. Like, at first I did. I remember back on, like, my very first Tumblr post, I would get in a lot of fights with people, which is what I would normally do, but then I got sick of fighting with people, and I was just like, yeah, sure, whatever. And then, like, after a while, I was just like, yeah, sure, whatever, until the point when I was like, yeah, and then I started believing it, and I just, like, only surrounded myself with the same opinion, and I never, like, you know, any outside opinion was just, like, wrong, and I didn't want to hear it, because usually I couldn't, you know, find a good enough argument that I could actually convince myself of, that I would feel good enough writing down to convince anyone else of either. You know what I mean? Kind of fucking annoying, and I just feel like I was brainwashed a little bit. Not that I didn't, like, I fully let myself be brainwashed, though, is the thing. And that's on me, 100%. But I just feel like now, especially over the last 2 years, I've been, like, in therapy non-stop, and all that therapy does is make you question yourself, and I've been trying to, like, get back to, who I was before all of that shit happened, and, you know, who I was before was someone that questioned everything, regardless of whose side it's on. Like, I'm someone that doesn't take sides. I don't take anyone's side, I take my side. You know, I take my opinion, and, you know, if someone has a good enough argument to change my opinion, then, like, fucking bring it on. Like, I'm all for it. Like, I love having my opinion challenged, but, you know, at some point I stopped loving having my opinion challenged, and I think that's really the issue on Tumblr, is it's just like a circle of yes men, and, like, you know, it's just like an echo chamber, and eventually that echo gets louder and louder and louder and louder until you focus on, like, the smallest things, and then, like, manspreading becomes a thing that people genuinely think is an issue. Like, dudes have balls. Come on. Like, how fucking stupid are you? Really. It's not gonna go off topic with that. But, you know, people just, when you think that minor issues are a lot bigger than they really are, then you start seeing even more issues everywhere, because everything just gets amplified. And it's just like, I don't feel like I have ever had any issues because I'm a girl. You know? Like, I don't feel like that's been an issue. Like, I've had people be sexist to me, but I don't feel like there's been any systematic thing holding me down because of my gender. The same time I started breaking away from the, you know, the liberal identity politics is when I started to discover who I really am. And I don't know, I just think that's really interesting. It just feels like such a hostile environment. And I don't think that's healthy for anyone. And yeah, it's not healthy to never have your opinion questioned. which is why, like, I'm always, well, now, I'm hoping to always try and get everyone else's opinion on what I'm saying, because I want to see if maybe I'm wrong. Like, maybe someone will change my mind, and I'll be shown that I'm wrong, and that would be great, you know? I don't know, I could never get fully behind a lot of that shit, and I would just, like, ignore it instead of, like, saying that I disagreed with it. And that's the other thing, is just, like, they cannot handle anyone that fucking disagrees with them, and, like, I love disagreeing with people, so it's, like, hard for me now. And, like, even back then, like, for the most part, I didn't want to have people disagreeing with me, but yeah, I don't know. Tumblr had a huge fucking part in why I, like, changed my political views and ideologies so drastically during high school, because it was, like, the beginning of high school that I joined Tumblr, and then, like, after high school, I was on Tumblr a little bit for the first 2 years or so, but ever since I went to treatment, especially, I mean, like, once I started camming, I stopped caring too much about all these identity politics and all this bullshit that Tumblr likes to make into a big fucking deal. I stopped really focusing on it because I was working and I didn't have time to focus on it, but, you know, now that I've taken a break and I've been able to kind of, like, reacquaint myself with our current political situation, which is a mess, not gonna lie, but, you know, I just feel like there's a lot of more important issues that need to be talked about, and I think that I just think that some of the rhetoric that, especially, like, on Twitter, I see now, like, Twitter's the new Tumblr, honestly. It's getting ridiculous. It's hard to be on there. Like, everything I see is just, like, fuck white people, fuck men, fuck cis people, fuck straight people. And it's just like, oh my god, do people not get exhausted hating people all the time like this? Like, and that's the other thing I don't get, is, like, I don't understand these people that have so much pride in, like, their skin color and, like, gender and everything. Like, I don't really understand that. I mean, like, I get it to some degree for trans people and gay people and stuff, because they had to, like, come out. Well, some of them had to, like, have a hard time coming out and getting associated with, you know, how that is going to operate in their lives. But I don't know, I just feel like the scale has been tipped from everyone being, like, white people are, like, everyone's favorite thing fucking ever, which is stupid. And then we've switched to white people being, like, actually Satan, which is also stupid. It's like, why does skin color have anything to do with what a person does or thinks or says or is? Like, I do not understand all these people that judge other people based on their skin color. Like, honestly, that's racist, if anything, you know? I don't know, it's just stupid, because I've never given a shit about race so much, and now it's like all anyone ever talks about, and it's like not everything's a problem, you know? And the same goes for like hating men. I don't understand it. Like, I like to make jokes about hating men, but like those are jokes, and I like to make jokes about hating women too. Like, but it's all just jokes, and I don't know. I just think it's stupid though that people that genuinely think that men are like worse, or people that genuinely think that men are better in some way, like, yeah, like men are kind of a little bit stronger than us genetically, but you know, we're really not that different, and it's very, very weird. Anyway, this is going on way too long. I feel like I'm gonna cut the end part of this off. I started rambling, so anyway, what do you guys think? Do you guys like to challenge your own opinions, or do you like to just listen to stuff that's all the same? Are you guilty of doing that? Because if you are, you should probably try and expand your horizons, because you might be surprised. Because I have been very surprised, and I think it's a good thing to try and hear every side of every story and hear all of the arguments before making a judgment on it. So, yeah. Alright. That's all. Bye, guys.